today we're going to dive into wealth, independence, and why most of us have been playing the money game with the wrong rule book.
Women retire on average with 37.5% less superannuation than men. And there's a number of reasons for that. Women are generally... I always say, as women, we're expected to be good at sex and money, and we're not taught about either. I've made every financial mistake that a woman could make. I have faced nearly every financial challenge that a woman can face. 95% of lottery winners end up in the same or worse financial position than before their win.
Wow.
And that's because they got the win, but they didn't get the identity. They didn't get the management. They didn't get the systems, the structures, and they didn't grow into the person to lead and multiply that wealth.
This podcast is being recorded on Gubbi land. We pay our respects to the traditional custodians of this land, our country, and elders past and present. I am Cait Muir, and thank you for tuning in again for another week of Tell Me About It podcast. Today I'm sitting down with someone that I've known for bloody ages. Jess and I go way back. We've collabed. We've had countless conversations behind the scenes. And every single time I just walk away going, why don't more people talk about money like that? So it's actually kind of ridiculous that it's taken this long for me to get her on the podcast. So today we're going to dive into wealth, independence, what it actually takes to become self-funded, and why most of us, especially women, have been playing the money game with the wrong rule book. We're unpacking Jess's SF15 framework, which is self-funded in 15 years. We're getting into her incredible personal story, which is a genuine ride, and we're walking away with some tangible stuff you can start doing with your money today. So before we crack in, as there will be a bit of finance talk today, just a quick disclaimer. Everything discussed in this episode is general in nature. It's not personal finance. Jess is a CPA and a wealth strategist, but she's here today as a guest, sharing her knowledge and sharing her experience. Always seek professional advice tailored to your own situation before making any financial decisions. And on that, if you need some help, Jess is your gal. So Jessica Conrick is a CPA and author, a wealth and retirement strategist, a financial educator, and the founder of the SF15 framework, self-funded in 15 years. She's also the host of the Self-Funded in 15 Years podcast and has helped thousands of women move from income reliance to genuine financial independence. And she is a devoted hot chocolate lover, not coffee, which we love, because same, which I think tells you everything about the kind of human she is. What I love most about Jess is her story is not the typical polished finance origin story. She went from high school dropout, working in a petrol station, single mum, surviving a bushfire, to building a framework that is generally changing the way that women think about money, retirement, and long-term security. She brings the lived experience and the technical precision, which is such a rare combo. Jess Conrick, welcome. It's about bloody time you came on here.
What an intro. Thank you so much, Caitlin. I am thrilled to be here with you. Always love being in your presence. I'm really excited for this conversation.
I know. I wish it was more in person than we always do it online, don't we?
Seems that way.
Now, you got married recently, and I love this so much. It's so nice to get used to your new name, Mrs. Conrick. Are you still getting used to it?
Very much so. It still sounds quite different to hear, but yeah, it's a very special time, and I'm super grateful that we finally got around to doing it.
I wanted to start off with a really funny story, because I think you told me this when we were on a retreat in Bali together. It wasn't always smooth sailing. You actually nearly dumped your then boyfriend back in the early days, because, or you can tell the story. I want the story about this because it was just so funny. You're like, I just can't stand it.
This is so funny. I had actually forgotten about this until you reminded me this morning. But yes, it tells everything about the origins of our relationship. So my now husband, when he was my new boyfriend, and it was obviously like such a significant shift for me, having been a single mum, raising two daughters on my own, and considering bringing somebody into their life was a massive thing. And John is just a phenomenal man. I'm incredibly grateful. But he has so many amazing traits, and the one that used to drive me crazy, and I actually took offense to it, which is so funny, but he used to call me fancy pants, and it just
really rubbed you the wrong way, didn't it?
It did. It made me so uncomfortable, and I had a far bigger issue with it than I should have.
I think it's so funny because I'm sure that this is true of you as well. When you've been through a marriage prior to that, you become so much more picky about what it is that you want the second time, and you hold your standards much higher, and you really don't let anything slip through the cracks. And I love that for you because you're married to the most amazing person who I know has like changed your world in all the best ways, and he's been a fabulous stepdad to your beautiful daughters. And you know, I was the same. Like, I nearly broke up with Cam because he wouldn't put his jocks in the laundry. Like, I understand. But also, I think we all sat you down and we're like, what are you talking about? Like, you are actually really fancy. Like, you dress in these like beautiful fancy clothes, and he's just not used to it. It was hilarious. And I'm glad you stuck it out.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an incredible man and in all the ways. And just to give a little bit of context to who John is as a person, the second time he came to my house, I greeted him at the front door and he had no shoes on. And I was so offended. I was like, you actually have no shoes on? And he was looking at me like, what's the issue? Like, he is just the most chill, down to earth, casual. Like, even now we'll go out and we'll walk in somewhere and he'll be like, people are just thinking I've kidnapped you or something, because he is just looking like he's just stepped off the farm, and I'm me, which is just how I dress every day. And yeah, it's quite funny. Some of the looks we get. Yeah.
I love it. I love that you have that contrast though, where you, like, I know this just from even being away with you on that retreat as well, is just like you plan your outfits from top to bottom, like the whole thing's like coordinated, and I love that about you. And I'm quite the same. Like, I really think about how I put a whole outfit together, but I'm also married to a very chill man, and I think that if I had someone that was like me, it would just be mental, like, to be honest.
Oh, I completely agree. John sees no issue with wearing Hawaiian shorts and a striped top. Like, to him, does not bother him at all.
And you know what? I love that. I love that. I think the contrast is what makes you guys beautiful, and I love that so much.
I couldn't agree more. My auntie, actually, when we first started dating and she met John, she actually said to him, I'm so shocked. She's like, I thought Jess was going to have the Porsche, the pointy shoes. And I was like, I could think of nothing worse. Like, same. I completely agree with you. I love the contrast. I love that he is him. And yep. I truly don't think it would work any other way.
And I love a manly man. Like, I love a man that's a bit rough around the edges, and I love a man, you know, like that's definitely my type too. I can relate on every level, I promise. But I love that he came to your house with no shoes, and I imagine you to be a shoes on in the house kind of gal.
Yes.
Love it.
And the thing that made it worse was he lived on a farm, and so I knew that it's not like he walked into the garage, you know, barefoot. Like, I knew where he had walked to get into the car to come to my house with no shoes on.
That is the best. And you've got two beautiful daughters.
I do. I'm so grateful. I have two beautiful daughters who are both now teenagers, so it's a new world for me. It's a new world for all of us. And I think every day we just look at each other sometimes like, what are we doing? And I think the girls don't know what's happening sometimes with their own emotions and hormones. We don't know. And poor John is trapped in a house with three women. Well, two young ladies and as my older teenager likes to remind me, I'm now a middle-aged woman. So John is trapped with a middle-aged woman and two teenage girls.
It's so horrible. God, teenagers are rough. I feel younger now than
no filter.
I feel better and more confident and more comfortable now than what I ever have, and I'm sure that you're probably exactly the same. Like, things are going amazing in your business. You know, we've discussed that teenagers are a challenge that you never knew existed, that you're navigating your way through daily, but you're in a beautiful new marriage, and you know, you're in a beautiful new house, and you know, it's all good things, all good in the hood.
Absolutely. I turned 40 this year, and you could not give me enough to convince me to go back to being 21. I truly believe that every day, every year gets better and better. And somebody said to me earlier this year, like, are you freaking out? And I'm like, no, I can't wait. Bring it on.
Nah. Cam calls it life levels. He reckons you level up every year.
I love that.
Yeah, he said it to me on my birthday. I turned 36 in January, and he was like, did this post about me. He's like, she's now on level 36. I was like, that's so cute.
That is a really great perspective.
Yeah, yeah. I think even my fertility doctor, he says that you have 36 birthdays. He doesn't say like your age, whatever. I'm like, I love that too. I'm like, that's a cute way of delivering it to people to basically not call me a geriatric going through fertility stuff, but it's good. Another fun fact about you, if you guys are not watching on video, Jess is so glam. She sounds like what she looks like. She's very polished, very everything. But on weekends, she likes to swing off the side of a motorbike with her brother.
I do. It's a good balance. I like to call it channel change. I have always said you can't think about anything else when you're hurtling down a hill on the side of a motorbike. Like you just, and I'm somebody who typically is very busy mind, and I think this is typical of your audience as well.
Yeah.
Very busy mind, so many things on the go. You'd like to be stimulated, and so something like that, I always say, well, you put the helmet on and the rest of the world stops existing, and you just you're forced to be so present and so in the moment, because it's dangerous if you're not.
Yeah. And so what's the actual sport called?
Yes, so we do two sports. So motocross, which is like jumping on a closed track. Well, there's jumps involved, and so you do that on a sidecar. And what we've done historically more is what is called reliability trials. So it's between 6 and 24 hours non-stop on the sidecar, doing basically like, how do I explain it? Like you go through to different sections, you race in different sections, and so they're different. Some are sand, some are rock, some are riverbanks, very hilly, very steep. Lots of what we call off camber. So you're literally sideways, two wheels on the ground. And it's my brother and I have completed the 24-hour twice now. So that is 24 hours. 11 a.m. you start, 11 a.m. the next day you finish, and it's an incredible experience.
It's mental. And so for anyone listening in, to basically paint a picture of what I've seen of it, brother's on the motorbike, you're on the sidecar, quite literally whole body hanging off, trying to help direct him to wherever he needs to go. Like it's a full body workout. Like it would be bloody hard yakka, and you would have to have pretty epic communication too.
It's hilarious because my brother and I hated each other growing up. I cannot overstate how much we disliked each other. And if anybody had told me up till the age of 24 probably that I would put my life in the hands of my brother, I would not have believed them for a second. And as you say, like impeccable communication is required, and oftentimes that is screaming at my brother to slow down. But the more I scream, the faster he goes. So I did learn to just shut up and hold on, as he tells me. And I'll never forget, we had a brother-sister fight in one of the sections, and we came out and I like stormed off at one of our mechanical stops and said to my mum, like, my brother, he's just an idiot, And my mum said to me, she's like, Jessica, when you are on the sidecar with him, you are his number one priority. I'm like, you don't see us for 98% of the time. You've got no idea what happens in the times you don't see us. It's honestly something I'm so grateful for. And how I actually got into the sport was we were watching our stepdad and who was competing in it. And I stupidly said, I'd love to give this a try one day, meaning on our stepdad's sidecar in the middle of a paddock. And within an hour, my brother's like, well, I've bought a sidecar and you're my passenger. And that was how that came about. And at the time, my brother was going through a really nasty divorce. And so I thought, if this helps him to have another focus, another outlet, not knowing that within 12 months I would be going through my own separation, and it would literally be my lifeline. And what actually happened subsequent to that a couple of years later, so my brother and I, our now partners, or husband and fiance, are people that we met through racing. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really been a very, very special gift.
I love that you describe it as a pattern interrupt because we don't talk about that enough in business and just even in busy adult life. You don't even have to be in business. I love painting. I love playing music. I love doing things like that where I'm just off my screen and away from my desk. You obviously crazy suicide bike riding. But I love that you talk about it like that because I think that's such a cool way of just being like, my brain goes elsewhere and it's perfect.
Absolutely. It's such a shift. And honestly now it has evolved and shifted as well because I was the placeholder until my nephew turned 16, which happened. And so now I don't do it as much as I used to. And actually, I feel like this is so important as well because you always get the opportunity to reinvent yourself and bring different interests into your life. And I truly believe that everything you do at different times is a gift for a season. And that season gave me a really beautiful relationship with my brother. We got to do some incredible achievements together. We both then met our new partners, and I truly think that sometimes we can also cling on to things, and I definitely did when I sort of stepped off of the sidecar for a period of time. I actually went through a real challenging time because it had become such a big part of my identity.
Yep.
And so I think that also gives us really good ways to realize that you get to evolve and change and expand into new and different things in different seasons and stages of your life as well.
I love that. I call it seasons as well because I think it's important. Like not every season's going to be smooth sailing and not every season's going to be enjoyable, but they're there for a reason. I also believe that when things are forced out of your way, there's a reason for that. You're being called to do something else. So I think that's amazing. I didn't realize that's how you met John.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody says, how did you meet? And we say literally in a paddock on a sidecar. So
were you in your beautiful gear as well?
Look, I have to tell you another part of the story. So the day that John and I met, it was mine and my brother's first time on our new sidecar, and our grandmother, because at this point we had both gone through our separation, so we were both very single.
Funny you went through it at the same time too. Crazy.
Very. And a friend of mine had said to me, like, Jessica, if you can't find a boyfriend racing sidecars, like, you don't deserve one. Like, you are in a completely male-dominated space. Anyhow, the issue was because my brother and I had the same surname, people thought we were married. Because I wasn't actually married to my previous partner. Yeah, that's right. So everybody thought we were married. So our grandmother put a sticker on our sidecar that said, brother and sister, both single and ready to mingle.
I love her. What a woman. She's like, please find partners for my grandchildren. That's the best.
And so John was riding his sidecar and his passenger saw the sticker on our bike and was like, hey, and look, it was a beautiful story because we didn't end up start dating for like a year after that, but it was that was how it came about, which was quite funny. But yeah, it's just very funny that thanks to Nana, Jamie and I both at very similar times met new partners.
That is so fun. Yeah, you don't think about that stuff, that you still had your original name, the same name as your brother. It's like, oh, yeah, they're just a husband-wife team. You're like, no.
Totally. It was very funny. And I never really thought about it because I wasn't necessarily looking for a partner at that point. Yeah, but once the sticker started, then we started to see some shifts in...
gentlemen form a line, please.
Oh, it was very funny.
And he met his partner as well through the same sport.
Yeah, so her brothers raced. So the one thing I love about sidecars and motorbikes in general, but it really is a big family. Like everybody, you've got this common interest, everybody just gets along really well. And I remember saying that to someone and they're like, yeah, of course you find them friendly because you're a female and they're all males and of course they want to help you. But no, it was really a really beautiful community, and so that was how Jamie, because we raced against her brothers and met their family, because it's what I love about it is it's not just you out there on the motorbikes. You know, all the families come along, so it was great for the girls. They have such fond memories of it, and it's a really beautiful experience.
I think that would be very inspirational for your daughters as well, seeing, like, for lack of a better term, it's a boy sport. I used to do track days and all sorts of things on my motorbike, and I'd be the only girl out of like 80 men. And it must be really powerful for them to see you go and do something that's traditionally a boy sport and do really well at it and have fun doing it, and just that they can do whatever they want.
Very much so, absolutely. And I love that. I love that they haven't grown up with those predetermined roles of what you can do as a girl, what you can do as a boy.
Yes.
And yeah, they both love motorsport as well. So it's
same.
Great.
I understand that. That's so good. I love hearing of. It's so funny. I think you even dial it back to, like, you know, going to school in the 90s and 2000s, same as you, and you know how girls couldn't have any interests other than what was traditionally girl things without being completely bullied or told they were being fake, or, you know, just like aggressively questioned to make sure that they actually knew what they were talking about. Like, for me, it was AFL, MotoGP, and wrestling. Loved it. That was my 3 things that I loved. And yeah, it was just kind of a really funny time. But I feel like that narrative is completely changing now as time goes on. And I think it helps having people like you that go and literally hang half their bodies off the side of a motorbike.
Oh, absolutely. I think I agree entirely that the times are changing, and we're really intentional. Like, full credit to John. He is so determined that our girls will be able to do whatever they want and need to do. So our lifestyle now involves the river a lot. So we have a holiday house at the river, and we have a boat. So we spend a lot of time doing water sports. Yep. And John, like Lily, because she's age appropriate, she can hook the boat on, she can reverse it down the boat ramp, she takes it off. She does it all. She shoots. Like, he has just really shaped her. And I say, this is phenomenal. And she's going to need a very comfortable, masculine, empowered boyfriend, because she's likely going to be able to do these things better than most men. Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, we got our boat and jet ski licenses when we were like 13, 14. We spent a lot of time on the water when we were younger too. But, like, also, like, girls raised to be able to change a tyre and to do, like, basic, normal things. But it's crazy how many children are not raised like that anymore.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Yeah. And we just, a big part of the reason that we got our holiday property is so that as the girls move through these different ages, we want to keep them close, as parents do. But we also, I've always wanted to be the safe place where they can bring all their friends. And you know, the river lifestyle, when we bought our recent boat, the person we bought it from, he said, like, I realize this is expensive, but he said, this is an insurance policy, because boats keeps the children close to you. So they come, they bring their friends, you know where they are, they can still have their own independence and their own time. But we want to know that, because she's, you know, nearly an adult, when she goes up there on her own with her friends, that she can safely do everything that needs to be done with the boat, with the property. And we just want to be able to provide that safe space where they can make those memories and have that time and know that she has the skills to do that.
That's absolutely beautiful. I love that so much. That cut a hole in you to say that she's nearly an adult.
Oh, honestly, they
were babies when I met you. They were like little babies.
I know. I sometimes, you know, she drives to school in the morning with her sister in the car, and I'll never forget the first time she left driving the car on her own, on her P's. And I mean, I don't know how our parents coped, but I'm like stalking Life 360. I know exactly what speed she's going, what path she's driving down. I'm not so obsessive now, but yeah, it was something I was completely unprepared for.
That's amazing. I think, you know, just before we started this recording, we were having a chat about how different of a world it is that we live in now, where women are now at this stage where we don't need men to exist. We don't need men to open a bank account. We don't need men in our lives for anything. So now dating for us is a choice. And I think if you raise fiercely independent women who can do everything for themselves, they get to wait and they get to be choosy and they get to, like, choose that right person to come into their life if and when that happens for them. Or otherwise they can just enjoy their life single and doing everything for themselves. And I think that's fucking awesome.
100%. so want to empower girls that they are the prize, and as you say, they get to, women can do everything on their own. You know, we empower the girls, we do our best to empower them in every way, like financially. They have their, you know, little superannuation accounts, their share investments. We talk to them about longer term financial strategy. Like, I never want any of my daughters and wider women in general to be in a situation where they have to be in a relationship for safety, for finances, for anything like that. The world I believe in is a world where everybody is empowered and has that independence and sovereignty and skills to be able to navigate the world in the way that they choose without being restricted on who they need around them.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think that's so powerful because so many women don't necessarily have the ability to choose. They just have to go with whoever's there. And I just think that's just so outdated and so everything, or they stick because they have no financial independence or, you know, anything like that. So I love, love, love what you're doing. Look, I think a lot of us assume that someone who talks about wealth and financial strategy must have come from a lot of money or had a leg up. And your story is actually the opposite. So you dropped out of high school.
I did. I didn't even finish year 10. I was the daughter of a single mum. Frankly, continuing at school was not an option. And so, yeah, I left school. I worked in a petrol station and I did that for 12 months. And I really looked around me and I thought, this isn't the life that I want for myself long term. And so I went back to school. I went back to school to complete year 11 and 12, but because I had to go to an adult campus and it was really rough there. The final straw was watching the car next to me get broken into, and I was like, I have to get out of here. This isn't safe. I had a stalker at that point as well. And it was not a great experience. And whilst I was there,
fucking terrifying. That would almost be more terrifying than being attacked would be having somebody actually like follow you around, and that gives me the ick big time. It freaks me out. You poor thing.
Yeah, it wasn't pleasant. And whilst I was there, one of the subjects I did in my year 11 was accounting, and I just fell in love with it. So I dropped out of school again, but this time, for those in Australia, I went to TAFE. And I went through TAFE and I did my certificate 3-4 diploma and advanced diploma.
Yep.
And I used that to get into university. And I actually started my uni degree the week I found out I was pregnant with Lily, my eldest daughter.
God.
Yeah. And look, it was a completely planned pregnancy. I was in obviously a stable relationship with her father. We had bought a house, all of that. Looking back, I just think though, what on earth, I tell my girls, don't do what I did. You know, I was pregnant at 21 and it's a different world now, I think, as well. Like, that was expected in my family. Like, if I didn't have children that young, I think that would have been frowned upon. It was kind of the natural.
Yeah. It was in my family, same thing. Like, it was expected that as a woman, you just get married and you have babies and that's it. And so you can imagine their disgust when I'm not like that. I'm the exact opposite of that. But 21 is kind of crazy to think about. Hey, like, at 21, I was dying in a nightclub somewhere, probably.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're both here to trigger our families in different ways, but and so I was pregnant. I was studying. I remember I sat exam. I submitted assignments the night before giving birth. I sat exams with a screaming newborn outside and leaking breasts. That was my first pregnancy. I submitted my final assignment for one subject the night before giving birth. And then I was still studying part-time whilst running my business and being a parent. And then my second daughter, I gave birth, sitting exams with screaming newborn outside, leaking breasts. But I got it done. I'm nothing if not determined. And so whilst I didn't have an easy path. I wouldn't change it for the world, but that doesn't stop me wanting different for my daughters either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something I'm fiercely protective of. I do not want them to ever be in a position where they have to leave their education. That's something that's very, very important to me.
Yep.
And so I speak to my girls, like, I don't want to live my life through them, but obviously we want better for our children. We want future generations to have a different experience that we did. And
absolutely,
I really want them to just experience their life, establish themselves in their career, and have a different experience that I did. However, having said that, we make the most. And one of my favourite sayings is, I remember the first Christmas that I was a single mum and I didn't have my daughters to wake up with on Christmas Eve. My nana had a brain aneurysm. She was in hospital. It was a really challenging
year for you, wasn't it?
It was a very hard year. And I can't remember where I saw and heard this, but it said, play the hand you've been dealt as if it was the hand you wanted.
Oh, that's beautiful. I told you years ago that you need to write a little coffee table book of like all your different sayings, because you have the best like quotes and sayings and things like that. But that one's cool.
Yeah, it really helped me just to really get through that time, and it's something I always kind of reflect on. But yes, I do like the coffee table idea book. We'll make it very luxe, beautiful images. Okay, that seed has been planted.
I just feel like anytime we've had coaching sessions together or anything like that, you've always like, you just have these like one-liners. I'm like, oh my God, how do you remember? Do you just have a storage facility inside your brain for all of these amazing quotes and things? You should. Just a quote a day or something like that. It'd be great.
Hilarious thing was, recently we were up at the river with some friends, and their daughter, who's a similar age to my eldest daughter, I said something profound. I thought it was really inspirational. And she said to me, the friend's daughter, she's like, wow, Jess, that really moved me. And I said to my daughters, see, when it's your own children, they don't find it inspiring. But I always say to my family when I'm giving one of my motivational speeches, I'm like, people pay me really good money to listen to this, and I'm giving it to you for free. But you know what they say? When people pay, they pay attention.
That's true. I think that's I coach two of my friends, and both of them are like, no, I'm going to pay you because I want to be committed and like I want to do it. And I know that when me and you have coached each other as well, we've swapped one for one. So there's like there's skin in the game there, like you want to do well for the other person and also for yourself. So yeah, when people pay, they pay attention. That's very true. You got to have a commitment. I love it. And look, I know you experienced another hardship as well, which you lived through a bushfire.
Yes, that was actually just a couple of months before I became a single mum. So that was a really challenging time. It was completely unexpected. Like, we just went to work and school in the morning, doing our normal things, and it just came out of nowhere. It was one of the most destructive bushfires that we've had in our state. So it was really challenging, and we didn't lose our home. Fortunately, there was a lot of damage, but we didn't lose our home. But we did lose a pony. My daughter's pony died, not in the fire, as a result.
You let them go, didn't you? Did you let them go?
No, we actually took them with us. I got home in time. My brother bought another horse float because we had 3 horses and only a double horse float. So my brother bought my mum's horse float over, and we managed to get our horses out, and also a neighbour's horse. And that's another life lesson, because in hindsight, I put my family's life at risk to do a good deed, which was never actually thanked.
Really? For saving their horse?
Yes.
Oh.
So that was really challenging, and it really made me question things, because I'll never forget driving at a wall of flames, and cars were losing power because there was such no oxygen in the air.
Yep.
And I just remember thinking, well, we're either going to outrun this or we're not. And
that's terrifying.
And probably the hardest part was I only had my youngest daughter with me, because my eldest daughter was at school and a friend had picked her up from school, because the fire actually wasn't supposed to travel as fast as it did. So we were going to get our horses and take them to my mum's property in the next sort of town. And then my friend was going to meet me there with my eldest daughter. Okay. But then the fire was moving so quickly that it wasn't safe to do that. So everybody just had to move to completely different places to safety. And so my friend who had my eldest daughter kept ringing me and giving me updates. And I ended up just saying to her, like, do not ring me. You have my daughter. I have no choice but I have no choice but to trust you with her life at this point. So do what you need to do. And I don't care if I have to meet you in Melbourne. Like, you just get yourself to safety and we will figure the rest out later.
Yeah. Yeah. For reference, Jess lives in South Australia, so getting to Melbourne would be quite a long way. But wow. How fucking terrifying.
It was huge. And I think because it was so unprecedented, all the phone and so wide reaching, all the phone lines were down. We didn't know. So my then partner and my brother had to take a different path to me. So we went in separate paths and I sort of got sent down this goat track and there were like branches over the road. And I just thought, well, you know, I'm driving over these things that I probably shouldn't have been driving over. And then I got to the end of the road and there was a CFS truck there and I said to him, which way do I go? And he said, look, I actually can't tell. I don't know. He's like, we actually don't know. He's like, but if I was you, I'd go this way. And I was like, okay. And so there was a period of time I didn't know where my partner and my brother and our horses, and fortunately we met up and that was fine. But then we didn't know where our parents were. Obviously our eldest daughter was elsewhere with friends. So yeah, it was a really challenging day, but I'm incredibly grateful that ultimately we were all in one piece. And yes, we lost one of our beloved ponies in that, but it was such a scene, such a time of unprecedented devastation for our state that I'm just really grateful for the fact that we were all safe.
It sounds absolutely terrifying, especially that it was moving so fast. I don't think people really understand that. You know, I have lots of friends that are volunteer firefighters that used to go and fight like in the Victorian fires and things like that too, and like just finding dead animals and dead people, and just you just never know what's going to happen. But you're an amazing human for making the effort to save your neighbour's horse, and I'm disgusted and sorry that they never said thank you to you. It really doesn't go a long way. I mean, you're an animal lover like I am, you do what you can, but geez, putting your own self at risk for that is just hectic.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if I could, the wisdom that I try and impart to people that may find themselves in a situation like that is, of course, you always have your bushfire plan, but you have to be so nimble as well. And I perceive that I wasted time deciding where we were going to go when we couldn't go that direction anyway. So I think you just do what you can do, get to safety wherever that may be. And yeah, of course, I'm grateful that I was able to save their animal, but doing so at the danger of putting my family in risk is something that I probably would reassess moving forward as well.
And your house survived?
Our house survived. We lost all our fencing. We lost all our trees. There was a lot of smoke damage, so a lot of our furniture and that had to be removed. But it was very challenging. The girls were very young at that stage. They were 3 and 6, I think. So a lot for them to take in. But I'm immensely proud that now as teenagers, they are both CFS cadets.
Yes.
My oldest daughter has actually just done her firefighting qualification. So when she turns 18, she can go out on the trucks.
Oh my God, that's so good. That's so good. What do you think they'll do, like career-wise? Is there any signs? I know a lot of people say they kind of could always pick what their kids would do from a very young age. And then there's a lot of people like, I have no idea. Do you have an idea of what you think they'll do?
My eldest daughter did want to do engineering, but she's sort of pivoted toward agricultural science at the moment. Ooh. So she's very, very interested in the agricultural industry. So I think that's the path she will move forward in. And my 13-year-old is just a massive thinking visionary, so it could go any way at this point.
Awesome. I love that. Well, on that, I want to kind of dive in a little bit into your career because we've just talked so much smack and I love it. I love hearing about your life and everything else, but something you talk about a lot is the income trap. And I'd love you to explain what that actually is, because I think a lot of women, especially high-earning women, feel like they're doing everything right, earning good money, but still feel financially stuck, or there's like too much month at the end of their money, or, you know, whatever. So tell me about that.
Yes, and I love that you mentioned that I am not the traditional finance person who is sitting on a pedestal and saying you need to put this much in index funds. And no, I've made every financial mistake that a woman could make. I have faced nearly every financial challenge that a woman can face.
Yep.
So this is hard-fought experience. It's not sitting on a pedestal at all. But what I find is, 90% of people are at risk of outliving their savings. That's the statistic that we're looking at. And women retire on average with 37.5% less superannuation than men. And there's a number of reasons for that. Women are generally primary caregivers, so they will take time out of their career to care for children, to care for family members, the gender pay gap. So there's a number of different reasons. I highlight those for interest, but we don't stay there. And what happens is that if you're not mindful and you're not strategic, your income increases, but as does your lifestyle. Absolutely. And so a lot of people make the mistake of saving and investing what's left over. And the other aspect of that as well, and 100% this was my story, when you go through challenging times, it's very, very easy to have the feeling that I just don't have the capacity to think about this. I don't have the mental capacity, I don't have the physical capacity, the financial capacity, and it gets outsourced to a future you problem. It becomes an issue that you put into the future because it's not burning, it's not present, you're not retiring tomorrow, so you don't think about it. But before you know, a decade has passed, and if you're like me, you're looking at your 4-figure superannuation balance thinking, well, I could afford to retire for about 2 weeks. So
got to support this lifestyle.
Absolutely. And so it's so important, and this is why I will never stop talking about this, because the earlier you start, the less you have to do and the more time your money has to compound and grow and for your wealth to expand for you. However, we don't live in a perfect world. People navigate challenging situations personally, financially. The business environment in Australia is quite unique in the sense that if you are a sole trader or a partner in a partnership situation, you are not legislated to save for your retirement. If you are not treated as an employee, it's not required. And so many people fall into the trap of thinking, well, I'll build the business. The business will be the asset that will save me. And that becomes very risky. And this is why I'm a huge advocate for building wealth, independent wealth, external to the business, because that gives you optionality and it funds freedom in the future. It gives you the capacity to sell the business, step away, pivot, and have other income streams and other assets that are supporting you. It's very dangerous to rely on one income stream, regardless of what it may be.
I think the pandemic changed that a lot for a lot of people, where they went, fuck, my business is closed. I have no savings. I have nothing. I have no other line of income. And now I've got to try and live off JobKeeper, which was, I think, $655 a week or something like that. And I think a lot of people just went, fuck. And it was really sad that it took something like that to open a lot of people's eyes. Definitely did for me. I had other avenues, other income avenues, but I still just went, it's not enough.
Absolutely. And I think we all have that moment of awakening, that moment of reckoning. And women especially tend to carry a lot of shame and guilt about money and finances that men traditionally generally don't.
Yep.
And so there is a whole other emotional layer to it as well. Yeah. And one of the key shifts that I speak about is moving from seeing yourself as a consumer to an investor. Because when you experience that shift, it changes the way you see yourself, it changes the way you see your money, it changes the way that you direct and allocate your money. And it just helps you to prioritize what needs to be prioritized in order for your long-term freedom. Like, I really want to just hold everybody and say, take a longer term time horizon and view, because women in particular, as lifestyle changes, as change of life, menopause, aging parents, children in different age groups, you're not always going to have the energy, the focus, the passion, or the desire to work as hard and as focused as you do. And I just want to be ensuring that you in 10, 15 years' time has the freedom to make the choices that are right for her at that point of her life. And if you still want to be doing what you're doing at that point, amazing, but I want you to be able to do it without the need or the financial pressure dictating that you have to continue to do it.
It's a really valid point too about like we don't always want to hustle this hard. Like we don't always want to do these different things. I know my experience of working with women and with men and having lots of entrepreneurial women and men around me too is I find that women actually want more of the lifestyle, whereas men are quite happy to like work quite hard. Like my husband's 44 and he still works 2 jobs. And, you know, like, whereas me, I'm like, I like a slow morning. I like to only work 4 days a week. That's probably going to get less as I have children and things like that. But if you can set yourself up to be able to provide that sort of lifestyle, I find that that's really beautiful as well. So I love that you said that. You're like, yeah, things change. You just don't want to do it anymore. You want to do something different.
Absolutely. And I launched a program called Retirement Ready last year. And that was sort of my first new program into the space in quite some time. And I love the program. The program was great. But what I found was, and the people who love the program went through it, but what I found was the messaging, people aren't thinking about retirement. You know,
retirement's so unsexy. I don't want to think about retirement.
Exactly. My clients are not retirement age. They're not even close. And retirement still has the old outdated vision of blue rinses, bowls, RSLs. And we need to consider as well what advances modern technology. Decades ago, you retired and you, as horrible as it sounds, you were dead within 10 to 15 years.
No, really?
If that.
Yeah.
Whereas now, retirement, you're, God willing, going to spend decades in a space where you're not wanting to be working. And so if you're not wanting to be working in that time, we need to ensure that you have income streams to cover you. But the other part of that is that, yes, it feels so far away, but retirement age as well. I mean, they've raised it from 65 to 67. By the time we get there, it'll probably be 82. And so I do not want you relying on this exclusively the superannuation scheme in Australia or the government at all, because the system relies on you being stuck and dependent on it.
Yes.
And that is why we need to break out of that system. You need to build your own personal economy, your own wealth architecture that is going to support you beyond dependence on any one individual income stream or asset class.
Yeah, wow. I mean, God, imagine working till 82. Jesus. That's scary.
And look, I just plucked that number out, but I don't
I agree with you, though. It is getting later and later. You even see it over in the US and everything like that, where people are forced to work because there is nothing like that over there. They don't look after their veterans and things like that, so they work into their like late life. Like, that's a horrible thought.
The other thing as well, I'm very interested how this is going to go, because we are moving into a generation now where there is going to be a massive drain on superannuation funds. Superannuation has not always been compulsory and people have been moving through at different parts of the cycle, but we're now experiencing the first generation who are all going to be drawing down on their superannuation. I think the landscape and the trajectory for coming generations is going to look very different. And I, like anything, I don't want any woman reliant on anything. And so we don't want to be reliant on superannuation in and of itself. And I just think majority of people give more consideration and planning to their annual holiday than they do their long-term financial security, well-being and freedom. And that needs to change.
Guilty.
You're a smart woman.
I understand that. I think, again, it's that thing of like, you think about it and you're like, oh God, that's so unsexy. Or, oh my God, I just don't want to think about that. I want to think about the holiday, or I want to think about the fun thing. And also that like instant gratification of like having something in front of us. But you know, I believe in life insurance and I believe in having wills and I believe in things like that too. So I'm a little bit of a planner, but it's definitely not as sexy.
And that's why I was so incredibly grateful when I got the idea for SF15, because yes, retirement isn't sexy and it's 30 plus years in the future, but and how this came about was my own moment of realization as a woman who had left school early, navigated lots of financial challenges, been a business owner, been a single mum. I had an awakening of looking at my own long-term financial position and going, wow, this is not where I need, not even where I want to be, not where I need to be. And there was an enormous amount of shame and guilt related to that because of my career, because I'm a finance professional. How could I let this happen? Yeah. And so that was when I really became so obsessed about this area. And I started, it wasn't even for me something that I wanted to teach on. I just started having conversations from the perspective of trying to figure it out for myself and laser focusing on what are the identity shifts, what do I need to do strategically, what do I actually want? Like, that's such an important question to ask. What do I want? And I started partnering with my now husband. This was before we were married, but having these conversations because it's such a taboo topic. I always say, as women, we're expected to be good at sex and money, and we're not taught about either. And
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's so true.
And so I really just went so deep into this area, and through having conversations with people and realizing and having people in my life, my family members that were retiring and getting to this age, and seeing how wildly unprepared they were, and just seeing that this is such a pandemic in a lot of ways. As I said, 90% of people are at risk of outliving their savings. And so my approach to transforming this and the strategy that I was working on is that 15-year strategy. And so that was how, and not even because I want to retire in 15 years. I don't at all want to retire in that time frame, but I want to have optionality.
Yeah.
I want to have choices. I want to be able to travel. I may have grandchildren by then. I want to be a very present mother in my daughter's lives. I was only saying to them the other night, I want you to come home from work or whatever you're doing, and I'm going to be there mopping your floors, cooking your dinner, folding your washing.
Oh my God, can you come to mine?
That's the type of mother I want to be. And I can't do that if I'm still needing to be working every day.
I think something that smacked me in the face was we had a conversation when we were putting together our life insurance and our wills and things like that. And I thought about it. I was like, fuck, if we retire at, say, 60, pretty normal age, right? And then we live till 90, that's 30 years we've got to pay for our lifestyle. Can we do that at the moment? Fuck no. We'd survive about 3. Like, it's, it's not, and you don't kind of think about it when you think about it like that. It's like, I haven't even worked for that long in my whole life now. And look at what I have to show for it. So very cool that this business or this realization started from your own understanding and your own, I guess, feelings around it and realizations around it. It's amazing.
Oh, I've had so many arguments with God that I'm not going to teach this stuff. Like, I'm not going to teach on it. It was never my intention. I did not want to do this. But here we are. God wins, as he always does. But it's something I'm so passionate about because I see that there's so much focus on manifestation and law of attraction and all of that kind of thing, but there's not enough focus on how are we maximizing and multiplying and compounding that money. Forget what handbag you're going to buy. Yeah. Forget what the next holiday is. How are you setting yourself up for the you in 10, 20, 30 years and what she is going to want? And she's probably not going to want that extra handbag you buy now is not going to benefit her. So we need to be bringing her more into the fore. And unfortunately, it's just not sexy in this consumerism, constant consumption, instant gratification, microwave generation that we live in. It's just not cool to think about that.
I know. It's just crazy. And like, what do you think life is so expensive now. There's a lot of people out there probably going, well, I can't afford to do that, or I can't afford to invest, or there's nothing left. What do you say to those people?
I've always said with the women I work with, and I know to be true in my own life, if you take care of the habit, the amount takes care of itself.
Oh.
And so start where you are, do what you can, use what you have. With the apps we have now with Sharesies and Perla and all these different apps that you have, Raise, exactly, you can begin just investing and growing the change. Round up your purchases to the nearest dollar. It's automated. It's done for you. You don't have to do anything. And this is where that mindset shift from consumer to investor, when you start even managing the money that you have as an investor and not as a consumer, I promise that you will unlock money you did not know was there.
Yeah, amazing.
And how we're always so focused on, I need more, I need more, I need more. And the thing is, if you're not maximizing, if you're not in full integrity and alignment with the abundance and the resources that you have now, and you're not directing them in a way that you're proud of, that is benefiting you in all stages of life, more money will only compound the same issues. So you actually have a really beautiful gift to heal, transform, and accelerate this in the current moment, so that you don't have the regret of somehow getting this extra money that you think that you want to need, and it's still getting absorbed in the way that the increases you've already had. Because let's not play and pretend that you're still making the same money you were 5 years ago.
If you are, that's a different conversation. Yeah.
That's a different conversation. But I'm quite sure your income has increased, but has your wealth, and a part of that is because of the way that you're interacting and the identity that you have for yourself and for money. And you just haven't assigned the identity that you are a woman who builds wealth that creates self-funded freedom.
Oh, I love that so much. That's awesome. And so what does, like, you know, your signature framework is self-funded in 15 years, or SF15. I love the boldness of it. It's not like one day, it's not eventually, it's like literally you've put a timeline on it. It's 15 years, that's it. So walk us through that. What does self-funded actually mean in your definition, and how does the actual framework work?
Absolutely. So freedom, people say freedom is a feeling, and it is, but it's also a formula, and it's also a strategy, and it has a number attached to it. So the first thing everybody does when they come into SF15 is they calculate their freedom number. And I have a free guide to do that. I'll make sure Caitlin's got the link for you to do that.
Yes, link it. We'll link it in the show notes for sure. Yes.
But that number changes everything, because if there's one thing I know about my clients and one thing I know about your audience, Caitlin, when you've got a number, it's as good as done.
Yep.
When you've got a target, when you know what you're working towards, and that's where people are so just leading in the dark, because they don't know what they're working towards. They don't know, they haven't quantified it. They don't have a specific measurable target to put towards it. And so they're kind of just moving in a way that they hope, feel might end up there, but they don't have clarity. And so when you don't have clarity, everything's impossible.
Yeah.
So SF15
you're not
is
working towards anything, are you? Because it's just like you're just trying to move forward, but you don't know what forward is, and you're kind of doing this away from thing when it's toward, and you know exactly what that is. It's like everything is like on that, on that, on that. And I think everything else kind of like fades out into the background.
You just articulated that so beautifully, Caitlin. Most people are moving away from something rather than towards something.
Yep.
And that is what the SF15 system does. It takes you out of the running away from, and it gives you something to move toward. And then we build in a very intentional and strategic way toward that. And everything is geared toward that 15-year time frame. However, it can be anything. I have clients going through the program that are doing it in 5 years. Others are doing it in 20 years.
Amazing.
So you get to choose your own timeline, but as I said, SF15, it was built for me. It wasn't built to sell at that point. And so that's the timeline I was working towards. But that's the average that I find most of my clients is the time frame they want to go through. So we move very specifically and very methodically. There are 3 phases to the system. So there's foundation, flexibility, and freedom.
Yep.
And so you need to have that secure foundation first, because without that, it's like your beautiful home that you've built, Caitlin. You didn't buy the block of land and put the pretty fence up at the front before you had a house.
Yes. We do exactly the same thing in coaching with me as well. It's like you're literally marketing a business that is fucked. You are literally marketing the wrong services, the wrong people. Your client experience is a mess. Like there's nothing in order. You're not priced properly. You've got debt up to your eyeballs. Like we need to fix those things first and put the slab down first before we can put anything on top of it. I love so much that that's what you just said.
Absolutely. You have to have that foundation first, but that's what most people want, and it's what most people are marketed, and it's what they think they need, and it's let's be real, it's bright, it's sexy, it's shiny, it feels, and it's a nice distraction from the fire that's going on in the background.
I love
but
that.
Ignoring it doesn't change it. And fear, I always say fear is a one-trick pony, and it's a mile wide, but it's only an inch deep. And as soon as you step into the fear, as soon as you face it, the first thing I do as well, I have everybody calculate their net wealth position. I do not use the word net worth because it is not your worth. It does not measure your worth.
Yeah, I love that language too. I love that language. I mean, I'm conscious of language too. I'm like, don't have an emergency fund because you're manifesting an emergency. I'm like, have a wealth account or a something, contingency or something. I'm like, don't manifest emergency. So I love that it's, your wealth, not your worth.
Yes, because
cool.
your worth isn't in question and your wealth can change.
Yes.
But we need to know that starting point because, and I always tell people in the program as well, this is your before. Like, this is going to be your stunning testimony. This is the beginning of your new story.
Yep.
But you can't get to chapter 20 without doing chapter 1.
I also think that we do a very similar thing where we call it an assessment, where we just like literally sit down and we're like, this is going to be really confronting and it's going to expose a lot of things. And you might have thought maybe you're a little bit further along than what you thought, or things were working better than they weren't. But I feel like it's really important to almost have that shock factor at the beginning to kind of go, oh shit, like, okay, time to take some action, time to actually face reality, opposed to just being like, that's okay, let's just work with what you've got and blah, 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 and being all fluffy. It's like, no, this is pretty dire. Like, let's start here. This is your rock bottom.
The only way out is through.
Yes.
And there's so much beauty in that, because think of any goal you've achieved. There's the moment you achieve the goal, and that's fun for a moment, but it's who you become in the process. And that is why we know that 95% of lottery winners end up in the same or worse financial position than before their win.
Wow.
And that's because they got the win, but they didn't get the identity. They didn't get the management. They didn't get the systems, the structures, and they didn't grow into the person to lead and multiply that wealth.
I think it's, I can't remember where I heard this, where I read this too, and I was like, that is so true. If you're a good person and you're smart with your money and whatever, before you come into money, you'll be great at managing it when you do get money. But if you're useless and you haven't mapped out all the problems and all your bad habits and all of those things, then exactly, you'll end up being one of those broke people that's just won $20 million on the lottery and ends up in debt. It's kind of hard to think about, isn't it?
It's confronting. I always like to say, and don't get me wrong, I say this to myself as well, this is not a pedestal thing at all, but you're the problem, but you're also the solution. And that's the best possible scenario. Because if you're the problem, you created this, it means you can create the solution as well. And your past does not equal your future. Just because, like, everyone's doing the best they can with what they have at the time, and when you know better, you do better. Yep. And so when you build your understanding, when you have clarity on where you're going, everything else will line up in the way that it needs to get you there. But you can't ignore, like, when you put something in Google Maps, when you put your destination in Google Maps, it needs to know where you're starting from to know the path to get you where you want to go.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have to start where you are, and then you move forward from there. So that's where we start. We start in the foundation phase, and then we really get that strong foundation. And then through the flexibility phase, we really focus on margin for momentum. It's where we really, once you've got everything working, you're allocated, you know where you're at, you have that strong foundation, then that's when we get into the fun parts of building the assets, building the portfolio, really accelerating things.
So you talk about converting income into income producing assets. Can you break that down in simple terms for someone who's never invested? Because I also think there's a delusion that the house that you live in is an asset, and it kind of is, but it's kind of not. Cars are also not really assets, I don't think. So you talk about actual, appreciating assets, income generating assets. Tell me about that.
And that is where the house falls over, because it is not an income producing asset.
Correct. It's the
It
most
is
fucking
also
expensive part of my life.
That's right. In a lot of ways, a house is a liability before it's an asset.
Yep.
Because it only becomes an asset in the sale of it. When you're holding the asset, when you're holding the home, when you're living in it, it's an expense and it's a liability. It's cash flow going out, no cash flow coming in.
Yes.
And then even when we look forward to when you've paid the home off, brilliant, you've freed up some extra cash per week, it's still not generating any income. And
No,
you
it's
still don't
appreciating, not income producing. Yeah.
That's right. And you still don't realize the benefit of that. If you need a cash injection, if you want something, you can't sell your lounge room, as Warren Buffett famously says.
That's so true.
And it's still, even when it's paid off, it's still an expense because you've still got repairs, maintenance, council rates.
Yep.
So look, I'm not anti-property. I'm not anti-primary residence. I know there are a lot of people that say you're crazy if you own your own home. I'm not that person. And I really believe everybody has a different starting point, end point, and a different wealth architecture that's going to be right for them. So there's no right or wrong. Everybody's in a different position, but we need to stop looking at your home as your only asset. However, we do want to look at it as an asset that you can put to work through either leveraging it, using the equity, optimizing the repayment structure, whatever that might look like. If it is an asset that you have, then we want to make sure that it is working hard for you.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, that, you know, a lot of the wealthiest people in the world rent because they don't want to be stuck in one place and they want the freedom of being able to do that, and they have, you know, other properties that they own. For me, I'm like you. I'm grounded here. I have no plans to move from the Sunshine Coast. So for me, it's a smart thing for me to have a home that I live in. Also, the friggin' rental availability here is absolutely shocking and terrifying. But yeah, I love that conversation when people are just like, no, I have an asset. I have my house. And I'm like, yeah, but it cost you a bloody fortune. It's not an asset yet. Or people that pay massive, massive car loans. What are you thinking? Could go on.
Yes. And look, this is really where financial literacy is so important, because people don't have the financial education. And then that's when you're not educated, when you're not empowered, when you don't have a strategy, when you don't have a plan that you're working towards, everything looks like an opportunity, but it's not.
Love it. And yeah, I love that you're so heavily into all the right spots to invest too. And I know that if you guys are interested, go jump in and have a conversation with Jess about how she can help you, because there's so much more to it, but you work so individually with each of your people that you work with as well.
Yes, and because no two women are the same, no two situations are the same, and no two strategies are going to look the same.
I love it.
But of course, the principles are the principles. They're timeless, they're true, they work, but it's a different application for different people.
I love that too. And look, I want to talk a little bit about rebuilding, because your story isn't linear. And I know we've touched on that a little bit, but I think that's also important for people to hear. You speak a lot about how you've made every financial mistake in the rule book, and same. I feel like I've become a better person from them, and I've probably learned more from them than making the right decisions. But you've pivoted careers, you've rebuilt financially, you've navigated being a single mum, and then built a new family dynamic with your husband and your girls. What does rebuilding look like, not just financially, but as a woman, as a mother, and as someone whose identity has shifted multiple times?
Yeah, at this point, I don't know who I am, and I don't want to, because it's always evolving. I love the saying where it says, like, if you met me 12 months ago, allow me to reintroduce myself, because I'm not who I was. And yes. I think where I've reached with this is complete surrender around my timeline, around what I want it to look like, and just trusting. But of course, you are still the creator. So you are still in control. You're still in charge. You get to decide what you're available for and who you want to be. And I think through it all is now I just have this level of surrender around, okay, this isn't working, or more often than not that it's not working, but what do I choose from here? Who do I want to be? What is important to me in this phase and stage of life? Because women change so frequently, and we have different identities, we have different stages in life. And I think that you can cling on to the old for comfort, security, but we all know that it's not comfortable and it's not secure. And so I think it's really important to stay open, to move forward, allow those stages and phases really to move through you. But underneath it all, you still have your integrities, your values, what's non-negotiable for you. But just trusting that the old life is better than the new. No. Sorry, complete wrong way around. The new life is always better than the old.
Nearly had it. No, I agree.
The new life is always better than the old. And I really don't think I've met anybody who would like to go back to a certain sure, there might be elements of it, but they're your breadcrumbs. If you want to go back to a certain stage of your life, why is that? What was happening for you at that stage? Yeah. What about that? That's a desire. Pick that desire up and you can choose to bring that. And I always say as well, you never want to go back. You only want to go forward. Yeah. And so what do you want to bring into your experience and who do you want to be from here?
I mean, I wouldn't mind 20-year-old boobs and washboard abs again, but mentally I would not like to dial it back that far. I'm very much happy in where I am now. No, I completely agree. I think forward focus is so important anyway. I mean, especially in this fire horse year as well, people really need to get their shit together and really start like leaning in and moving forward and creating momentum for the rest of our lives, the rest of this cycle too. You have, we speak a lot about you beautiful girls as well. Do you said they were really financially literal, as a literacy, what's the word? Financially literate. I nearly got there, got my tongue tied. You said that they have investments as well. Is this right?
It is, yes. So important to me. I think I was never taught about money as a child other than there's not enough of it. It doesn't go far and it's really stressful.
Same. And it's why I was such a shocking saver until I was like 30. I get it.
Yes. And so I really want my girls to be so financially empowered and to understand more than anything. It's not even about just giving them money or giving them wealth. I want them to be investors. I want them to think about money in a certain way. And that looks different for different ages. You know, my eldest has her first job. She just did a summer job. And so
what does she do?
So she worked here. It's like harvest time over Christmas here. So she worked in like the local harvest collection place. Awesome. So she was doing grain sampling and working on the weighbridge and they get paid really well. So she had a bumper summer. So she's been able to buy her first car, which is really cool.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, so every dollar they receive gets allocated. There's a portion for savings, a portion for investing, and of course a portion for being a teenager. But
it's good to include fun money. You have to.
Definitely, absolutely. But it's about trying to have that balance. And I have a weird relationship with the weird word balance, but I want them to have good financial habits, a clean, clear identity with money where wealth and building wealth feels normal and natural, a part of their life, and optionality is there for them, and that they don't swing either way to overconsumption, underconsumption, and most certainly I never want them to be reliant on a credit card or a car loan or anything like that. So for us, it's really important. And then because they're both under 18, their investments are in our names, in trust for them.
Yep.
But again, that's a portion of their income. Every bit of income they get gets allocated into those different areas. And they love watching. Like, their portfolio's got better growth than mine at the moment. And I love showing them that.
That's so good. Seeing the result must be really motivating for them.
Absolutely. And they got their dividend statement through, and my daughter's like, I didn't even do anything for this money.
Free money.
Absolutely. And so that's what I want them to know, that their money has been put to work, and rather than it just sitting in a bank, it is growing for them and it's yielding income to them as well, which it just excites me so much that that's normal life for them. And that's what I want for this future generation that's coming through.
Yeah, I love that so much. And look, the other thing that I picked up that you said that I loved was financially empowered women will save the world. And you have this belief that financially empowered women it starts with them. It starts with their own. Just unpack that a little bit for me, because it's a beautiful thing to think about, and I agree.
I really believe that financially empowered women will save the world beginning with their own. And it has to begin with their own, because we can't give what we don't have. And so if we're disempowered financially, if we're a mess financially, we can't help others from that wounded place. And so that is where starting with yourself. But I know, and truly what I love the most about all of the clients I've worked with over the years, they don't want to become wealthy necessarily even for themselves. And this is what I love about women. It's always the flow-on effect. It's always what they do for others. It's always how they pay it forward in the world. It's always a ripple effect, and it's rising together. And that is what I love. It's never just, oh, I want this money for this. And sometimes if you're in survival mode or lack or scarcity, it can feel like you just need money for that, and allow yourself to be there with that. But once you've met those needs, that's when you truly get to see why money is actually important to you, what it represents, and the good you can do with it. And that's where I believe that the more financially empowered women we have, the more money we can get into the hands of good women, then that is going to have that beautiful flow-on effect to the rest of the world.
I love that. And I just have one last question for you. You speak a lot about the mechanics and the doing and the action and everything like that, but how much of this is the money mechanics versus the money mindset?
80-20. Honestly,
Okay.
like identity and mindset are 80% of the game.
Yes.
Because, and the reason for that is with all of the tools and everything we have, like truly with the SF15 system, the clients that come through that, when that system is in place, it's less than an hour a week. Truly.
Wow.
Like the best financial plan is boring. Like it's really boring. It's set and forget largely. And so that's what I really want people to recognize, that what's between your ears, the mindset, the stories you have is 80% of the work, because once you've got everything in place, the mechanics of it are very rudimentary, they're very elementary, they're very basic, and we can automate the majority of it, which enables you to focus your energy and attention on the more valuable areas to build that margin for momentum. Like my vision is for everybody in the SF15 system, once you've got that system built and that system is working for you, your only job then is to increase the funds that go into that funnel.
Yeah, I love that so much. Look, this has been one of those conversations where I feel like I need to go back home and sit down and have a very serious, empowered look at my bank accounts, but not from panic, but from a place of like, okay, I actually have a bit of a pathway here. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate, having you here for this conversation. I think you're incredible. I think what you're doing is incredible. I think helping women is incredible. I think giving women financial literacy is incredible. But I guess I want to finish this with like, what is your one hot tip? Like, what's your special piece of advice or final thing?
I think I touched on it earlier, but more than anything, I want you to know that your past does not equal your future. And this is so important, because every moment there is a new possibility, a new world that you can build, a new identity you can create. And I think women in particular can get so stuck in the old stories of who they've been, what they've done, and punish themselves for that. And it's so important that you recognize that while you're breathing, while you're here on this earth, there is a new possibility, a new world, a new path available for you. And it all begins with you just being open to it and saying yes to yourself.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Now, Jess, where can we find you?
Yes, so I would love to hear your thoughts, your takeaways from this conversation. It's just, I'm so grateful to share this space with Caitlin. So please come over, Jessica.Conrick on Instagram, Jessica Conrick on Facebook. Again, still sounds so strange to say, but
Mrs. Conrick.
Yes, I would love to meet you, love to connect with you. Please feel welcome to send me a DM. I'd love to hear who has found me through the podcast. And as Caitlin mentioned, please, if you have any questions, if this has piked any curiosity for you, or you're unsure of anything, like, I'm not going to try and hard sell you in the DMs, but please come and ask the question. As you could probably tell, I could talk about this all day long. So I'm more than happy.
It's your passion. You love it.
I do. So I'm more than happy to continue the conversation in the DMs. So don't be a stranger. If you have any questions, anything you'd like to talk about, I'd love to connect with you.
Awesome. And we will absolutely link that freebie in the show notes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure to be with you. I'm one of your biggest fans. I just love everything that you are, everything you stand for. Thank you for the incredible work you're doing in the world. Every time I open Instagram, I'm seeing more of your incredible client success stories and you just thriving and loving it. And I just really admire the choices that you've made, the changes that you've made. Like, I was so thrilled to see you in your new car the other day because I remember when you sold your previous Prado. So I'm just so thrilled for you and excited for what you will continue to create as well.
Thank you so much.